Hi, so this is a sequel, this is mandatory viewing, and this is recommended viewing, so that you can really understand this video. So where were we? He's gay, he's bi, she's badly written. Okay. She should have started medical ninjutsu at the beginning of the show, and by now, which means Shippuden, she should be dating Lee. And I would start talking about Sakura at the beginning of Shippuden, but I'm still mad at her because of that last scene in the first show, so we're actually gonna start by talking about Temari, who's also here. And Temari is here because she represents the peace between villages, which has changed since the first show. The whole village system is still pretty new, and the fact that we have a romance between villages shows how this world is developing, and how peace seems to be the next step in this system. They say that the Chunin exams are a chance for villages to interact and have peaceful interactions. Now that we see two characters that we know and that did the exams last show, being in charge of these exams shows that time has passed and the characters have changed. This romance between Temari and Shikamaru also feels very organic, and I wish we had more. I wish they were together earlier in the show so that we could see, like, you know, the stages before and a bit after. Temari also has a very cool jutsu. She is a wind type and she is in complete control. We see how strong she is in the first show and we have no reason to doubt her. Honestly, she should have passed these exams. She also has a very confident attitude, and I love women with an attitude. In the first episodes of Shippuden, she calls Kakashi out for being a misogynist. Like, there is an outspoken feminist on my shonen? Hello? And like, not in a... She's not evil, she's not like a villain, she's an outspoken feminist and we like her? Yes? I am so hyped for this show now. Now, when she is introduced, one of her first lines is about finding Sasuke attractive, and I'm just gonna close my eyes for that one. If I don't read the subtitles, they're not there. Kind of wish Naruto could have learned a bit of wind style from her. I know they have to give scenes to Asuma because he's about to die, but I think it could have been a really cool opportunity to have more of Temari, and she's obviously very strong at wind style, we have seen this. The new female character that's introduced in Shippuden is Lady Chiyo. She's really the opposite of Temari because even though they're both from the sand, they have different ideologies because of their age. Chiyo is old and she remembers how the system used to be and the wars that there were, so she holds grudges and she values tradition, while Temari can embrace peace because she hasn't known that in her lifetime. Chiyo attacking Kakashi because of what his dad did was a really interesting moment, and you see how difficult it is for different generations to actually communicate. You also kind of see this later with the elders in the leaf. Also, modernity versus tradition is like the theme of most Japanese movies post World War II. There was an era where every movie would talk about that subject, especially because of the Americanization of the Japanese people. So it's cool how they treat this subject in Naruto. When there's a war, there's now a huge difference between the people who have lived through it and the people who haven't. So yeah, cool side character that represents the peace between the villages. I mean, call me Temari's weapon of choice because I am a massive fan. Also, her outfits are absolutely fantastic. They look very different from the outfits from the Leaf, which I do appreciate. If I could wear any outfit in this show, it would probably be her Shippuden outfit. It looks fantastic. And I also adore her eye color. Okay, great. Now that we've had a palette cleanser, we can go back to Sakura. And Sakura at the beginning of Shippuden is actually really good. When she comes back, she has this little interaction with Naruto. We know that she's trained with Tsunade, and immediately we have an opportunity to see how she's trained. She is sent on the Gaara retrieval mission, and because she is now a poison expert, she gets to cure Kankuro. And there are so many moments in this that I've been waiting to see from Sakura. There's a scene where she goes in a greenhouse. She looks so confident. She puts her hair up in a ponytail, and I love that moment. I don't know why. I feel like that's just the small moments of agency that I love from her, and that I've been waiting to see from her. And not only do we see her new expertise with her poison healing, we also see her new strength because she has a fight with Chiyo. This is a great pairing of characters. Chiyo that struggles with other villages and youth, while Sakura has so much to prove and is an example of someone who hasn't gone through war or anything. So them working together is a great opportunity for Sakura to learn and for Chiyo's tolerance to grow. Now, there are major pacing issues in this fight, but that's not their fault. If it was a lot shorter and if there was less distractions around it, it would have been so much better. But hey, Sakura kills the first Akatsuki? Nice. Not only does she kill him, but it also feels earned. This is such a strong start to the show. I sure hope it doesn't go downhill. Yeah, this arc just showed her confidence, how useful she is, and how she's grown during the time skip. I love it. No notes except for the pacing. Next thing that happens is that Sai is introduced to Team 7. And say what you want about Sai's actual character, but him arriving is such a great bonding opportunity for Naruto and Sakura. I love Naruto and Sakura as friends. I wish she was nicer to him in these episodes, but I think this is like their peak friendship, and I'm quite happy to have that. They just have this common enemy with Sai arriving, and they just have more things to bond on. There's also a scene that I love, which is really casual, but Ino says that Sai is cute, and she warns her that he's crazy. And it's just these small moments like this that I love. It makes these characters feel more real. This is the average, like, girl interaction that I would expect. Like, oh, the new guy in your team is cute. Yeah, don't. He's awful. It works. And I wish, again, she was nicer to Ino, because I'm kind of tired of her being a toxic friend. And that's like one of my main issues here, is just that she's never seems to be that great of a friend. We see her inner thoughts where she's hoping for Ino's downfall and she hits Naruto. And you're just like, can she be a better friend? She's at her best when she's bitching to Naruto about Sai, or when she's having casual conversations with Ino. I just wish they had stayed more in that direction. It's also very obvious that not having Sasuke around is really good for her. He's a distraction, and him not being there is really good for her to be able to improve on herself. And we haven't seen Sasuke in the show yet, so everything is going pretty smooth. But there is one issue, because the first arc was written for Sakura, so the problem is poison, which is her expertise, right? And she needs to be there as a healer. But then she's put in Team 7. Team 7 now is Naruto, Sai, and Yamato. No one cares about Sai. We kind of want Sai to get hurt. And then Naruto has healing powers, and Yamato has healing powers. So is she there to heal herself? A main character's main thing cannot be healing if the main character has healing powers. That's dumb. So that's one thing that bothers me in this Team 7 era, is that she feels useless again. Unless the plot is specifically written for her, it's hard to make her feel useful. And now we've reached the Sasuke reunion, which... Okay, so first they meet with Orochimaru, and she is kind of terrible in this fight. She runs towards Naruto without a plan, and she just feels, and I don't want to say this, too emotional. And I really don't want to say that. Like, having her run towards Naruto irrationally kind of feels out of character for her. She should have been ready for this. And I don't mind Naruto hurting Sakura in this moment, because he's irrationally emotional, okay? He is. That's part of his character. I would have preferred if she was rational and she had a plan with Yamato, was trying to execute it, and still got hurt because of how unstable Naruto is. So I'm not a fan of that scene. That scene was like, uh-oh, this is going downhill. But she does have a little redeeming moment. She's pretty good in Orochimaru's lair. She's confident, she's keeping up, and my favorite moment is when there's the explosion and Sai's at the end of the hallway. She runs straight towards it while Naruto stays back and then trips. It shows how she's kind of emotionally matured more than Naruto, and that she's more ready to face this than he is. She grabs Sai and yells at him, and I love it. I want this character to be more angry in the right moments, and this is one where it really works. So yeah, she's decisive, she's angry, and you just see her personality seeking through. Now, after this, obviously, there is Sasuke, and I don't blame her for not doing anything for the rest of this scene, because, like, this is Sasuke's scene, and I wouldn't change a thing about it. I am a Sasuke fan at my core, okay? I can't help it. I'm also a gay Naruto fan. I'm not changing the scene. It just shows that she's not part of this conflict. This is about Naruto and Sasuke. It's never been a Team 7 thing, let's be honest. In my previous video, I would take scenes that happen between Naruto and Sasuke, and I would put her as a more important character in them. This is not one of those. This one can't stay gay. So yeah, she's useless in this scene, but I do like it, so no problem. As far as other female characters go, we haven't really talked about Kurenai, but that's because I don't have much of an opinion on her. If you do, I would love to hear it. She kind of only cast a genjutsu on Itachi and then gets pregnant, which, like, she is a side character. I know a lot of people love her design. I'm not the biggest fan of it. I do like genjutsu users, but having her only instance be against Itachi is rough. There is this in-between generation that doesn't get talked about much, and that is like Kakashi's generation that were very young during the war, because we mostly see the after, which is Naruto's generation, but they feel like a forgotten generation. And the fact that Kakashi's teammates aren't in a relationship and married might show some anxieties about starting a family when you've seen so much destruction in your youth. There is so much fragility in the ninja life that you might not want to start a family when everything is so uncertain. And her fears are pretty valid because her boyfriend dies before she can give birth. So I like that she represents these fears and representing young families in this world. Meanwhile, Sakura is getting kind of annoying about her food pills. She's not given much characterization, which she should be. Like, she goes to see Naruto training and offer him food pills. What are you doing with your day? I'm sick of seeing her wander around. I want to see her actually train. Anyway, we'll come back to that. Let's go to a character that I have been very excited to talk about. Because at this point, Sasuke is building up his team, and we get another redhead diva. This might be an unpopular opinion, but I love Karin. And you might be confused as to why, because like, doesn't she act similarly to Sakura in regards to Sasuke? And I'm like, not quite. The reason is, I think Karin's obsession with Sasuke is completely justified, because Karin is extremely traumatized, and she has been traumatized similarly to Sasuke. She is an Orochimaru experiment, and Orochimaru completely dehumanizes his experiments. It is during these years that she meets Sasuke, and Karin can feel people's auras, and when she meets Sasuke, because he's actually hiding his true intentions and that he's still very much human, she feels that straight away. So when she's around Sasuke, she feels more human herself. Sasuke still has the vibes of someone who grew up in the Hidden Leaf. He is not a heartless monster, and she knows that. When they do a mission together, he treats her as an equal, even though he is Orochimaru's protégé. It's important to mention how Karin was experimented on, because her body has been transformed as a tool to be used and assaulted in order for others to heal, and we mostly see men biting her, because essentially you have to bite her to heal yourself. Her body is completely covered in bite marks. It is a form of sexual aggression. Men are biting her for their own benefit. So she reclaims her body by only letting Sasuke bite her, which is something that obviously gives her pleasure, and it feels more like an exchange. There is consent from both parties. She was hypersexualized as an Orochimaru experiment, and she has remained hypersexual, but this time with her own terms. It's a coping mechanism, and it's not the best one, but it's the one she's found. She stays by Sasuke's side and she trusts him, and it works until Danzo, because Sasuke managed to keep his humanity until this point. After killing Itachi and then realizing that Itachi was a victim and wasn't responsible for killing his clan, Sasuke completely loses it. So she trusts Sasuke, and then Sasuke also loses his humanity and he betrays her. He uses her body like all the men before did, for his own benefit. He hurts her and he's cruel about it. She thought this man was different, but he wasn't. At the end of the day, he ended up being a monster that saw her body as a tool just like the others. After this, she becomes disillusioned and goes to the Leaf because Sasuke was her safe place and now that's gone. She doesn't recognize him anymore. We don't see her for a while, and then when we see her in prison, she's holding a picture of Sasuke, and the guards are like, oh yeah, she goes crazy if she doesn't have that. But then we see her perspective, and it's actually her way out, and she was just acting crazy, which feels like a joke to Sakura. She's like, I'm not that dumb. She's actually using her obsession to help herself, and she manages to escape prison. She's kind of laughing at herself and other obsessions from female characters. And yeah, it's a moment I really like. She feels very self-aware. Now, the entire Taka team forgives Sasuke, even though they saw him at his very worst. And I do have an explanation for this. First of all, they all spend their formative years in a cult. This is all they know, and they don't have other friends or a home or somewhere else to go to. It makes sense to me that she goes back to this. He also apologizes. I think it's really important that he apologizes to her because she deserves one. And yeah, he is nicer to her from this point on, which he couldn't have been meaner, so hey. But yeah, because of her story, I understand more why she goes back to Sasuke. My other point about Karin is that I completely understand why Sasuke wanted her on his team. She is fantastic at doing her job. She is constantly proving herself as smart, as talented, as a good freaking ninja. When Sasuke's injured after the day that I fight, she notices that people are tracking them, and then she tries to figure out how they're tracking them, and she discovers its scent. So she takes pieces of Sasuke's clothing, spreads them around, and then she goes back to her team to say, hey, people are tracking us, we need to go there because I just did this. No panicking, asking, oh, what should we do? No hesitation. She goes straight for it. This is a type of agency I like to see. You're like, oh, this team would be nothing without her. And I see why Sasuke wanted her. Sasuke is not a sensory type ninja, which is established very early on during the bell scene where he says, I don't sense Kakashi, and then Kakashi immediately appears. Love that scene. And clearly he's terrible at it, so he asked someone to do this for him. She has a purpose. She is also a healer. And you want to talk about how useful she is as a healer? During the Killer Bee fight, Sasuke gets incredibly injured, so she pulls him to the side, makes him bite her, and then pushes him back in. It is like a F1 pit stop, how efficient it is. I see why Orochimaru promoted her. I can see why Sasuke wanted her. This is the show don't tell that I want. Anyways, I will defend Karin. I love her. I think the story between her and Sasuke is really effective at showing how Sasuke loses his humanity in Shippuden. And Naruto brings it back, but of course women got hurt in the process. It's a very sad story, and I'm glad they didn't end up together because that would be toxic. But yeah, I really like her character. She is a great addition to this story. Anyway, back to the main story, and we are at the pain arc, which isn't great when you're talking about Sakura. You remember we were doing a list last video? Yeah, we'll need that again soon. But first, who is this diva? No, seriously, I have to Google her name because I do not remember. I don't know why she's here. I don't know where she comes from, but I do love her. They really didn't have to add this character, but they did, and I'm kind of glad about it. I'm gonna start by talking about Shizune because Shizune is doing her job, like she always does. Shizune is extremely smart, and she's always in charge of medical stuff and research, and right now she is trying to discover the mysteries behind pain, and she's doing a fantastic job. During this entire arc, Tsunade is focused on saving as many people as she can and trying to keep the village safe while other people are fighting. This is different from the third Hokage, who was fighting Orochimaru. While the people in the village were defending the village, Tsunade instead trusts her people to fight while she tries to protect them. So Tsunade and Shizune are on top of things as usual. The destruction starts and Sakura sees a kid with a scraped knee and spends way too long healing the kid while the village is getting destroyed in the back, and she just looks completely clueless. And you're like, okay. Like, Tsunade knows her priorities, you know? But Sakura? Clearly not. Part of being a good medic at Sakura's level is knowing who to help, and any medic can put a band-aid on a child. Her expertise is needed somewhere else. And I'm not gonna add this on the list. I'm not gonna give her too many issues for putting a band-aid on a child. However, they lead her to where most of the injured people are. And they're like, Sakura, we need you. You're currently the best medic available. We need you to lead these people and to save as many people as possible. You know what her response is? Not right on it, not I'm already doing that. Her response is, can't Shizune do it? Oh, I'm sorry, Shizune, who's discovering the mysteries of pain? The job that you should be doing as the main female character of the show? What do you mean? Can Shizune do it? Of course she can. She can do everything you do. Now this is going on the list, and it's going pretty high on the list because at this point in the goddamn show, where Naruto is achieving his dream right now during the pain arc, and you can't even lead a medical group? Naruto can protect the village, Naruto can save everyone, and you can't do your job? Hey, I'm sorry, why are you here? Why are you on screen? Why are you on a poster? I genuinely do not understand. She should be leading the operation to understand the mysteries of pain with Shizune. Shizune should be on the side while Sakura does this. It's like, oh, she's a great medic, and then you have to beg her to do something. No, this is a trash character. I'm sorry, you started off fine, and now I've lost interest. Now there's rubble everywhere, and the only thing she can do is yell out for Naruto. No, she's not immediately trying to heal people that got hurt by the rubble. No, she is immediately yelling out for Naruto because what else is she gonna do? There's no one to beg her to help. You have lost me. And also there's a weird hug at the end. Ugh. It's so weird because she's mean to Naruto all the time, and now people respect him, which she has been closer to him. She should have started respecting him earlier. Now people respect him, and she starts acting like she's attracted to him. That's fucked up. Like, oh, the only reason I didn't like you is because you were unpopular? Is she that shallow? Yeah, she is. No, they've told us many times that she is. But like, it's still shocking. Why can't they just have a healthy friendship? Okay, you know what? Whatever. Because after the pain arc, that means a new redhead diva is introduced. And you know what makes Karui different? She enters, and her main thing is how much she hates Sasuke. And it was about time that we got a female character that despises this dude. And she has her reasons, okay? Her mentor was just killed by Sasuke, and she wants revenge. Sasuke didn't kill him, but she thinks so it's fine. Now, she is introduced as funny and likable, and she has a kind of, like, Naruto attitude to her. You know, she's quite over the top. And she is also very aggressive. By the way, fantastic design. Oh, she looks good. Everything is great. Anyway, we talked about Temari earlier and how her being in the Leaf and having a romantic relationship with Shikamaru was kind of the peace between the villages. However, Karui is there to show how this peace is difficult to maintain. Because even if you get over the events of the past, the system is still broken enough to produce people like Sasuke. And people like Sasuke will hurt other people, which will lead people to seek out revenge. There will not always be an Naruto there ready to take a beating in order to calm someone down. This character introduction is also great because you kind of like this character straight away and then realize who she is and why she's there. And then you see her beating up the protagonist in a scene that is honestly hard to watch. Just straight up violence. And you know this is not doing her any good, but she's also at a loss of what to do. And this is when Naruto's also learning that Sasuke has joined the Akatsuki. God, this scene is hard to watch. And this is also another moment when Sakura can't dodge. But yeah, Karui, big seal of approval. She is fantastic, serves as an anti-Temari, as a young person who has grudges, and who shows how difficult peace is to maintain. So, incredible character, great exploration of the themes, and yeah, great scenes even though they're hard to watch. Okay, so to go back to Sakura, what we're about to witness is the craziest sequence of events probably in the show. And this starts with her delusional conversation with Sai, where Sakura is like, you know how Naruto is obsessed with Sasuke? Well, that's because Naruto's in love with me. So if you tell Naruto that you're not in love with Sasuke, yeah, and I tell him that instead I'm in love with him, then he's gonna stop chasing after Sasuke because he's doing this all for me. They're both stupid, okay? Now, a few things. First of all, Sai is learning how to be human by reading books, and he hasn't really gotten to BL yet, so he doesn't really understand the full dynamics of the situation. I can't blame him for misreading what's happening. The other thing I find interesting is where this scene takes place, because, you know, that's an aspect of storytelling, and you can use where a scene takes place to insinuate something else. And this conversation happens in front of Shizune and Tsunade, and if you know, you know. So I'm already laughing because I see what they're doing here, having this conversation in front of Sapphics. And in my mind, I'm like, oh, Shizune is laughing at them because they don't understand what's going on. And I don't need confirmation of this. I just know why this scene is happening here. But I should never underestimate this show's willingness to be explicitly queer. So Shizune turns around and she's like, oh, don't you think maybe Naruto has other motivations for what he's doing? And Sakura's like, well, what do you know? Why would I listen to you? It's like, well, maybe Shizune knows a bit more than you, actually, Sakura, in this particular case, and actually in every freaking case. But anyway, this conversation is a bad start. It just shows that she's still out of touch and that we haven't outgrown that. But anyway, Sakura now starts her master plan. And she starts this adventure by going to see Naruto and tell him that she loves him. So she confesses her love to him, and then she goes to hug him, and he's like, oh, this isn't about you. I love that man myself. And then Gaara comes in and he's like, a man, you say? But we don't have time to get into that. So Naruto's like, none of you compare. And he crashes out. So Naruto has passed out and has disturbed the rest of the team. And she's like, phase 1 of my plan, complete. Okay. So then she goes to the next phase of her plan, which is, of course, logically, to drug her entire team. Girl. Because she wants to go fight Sasuke alone. She wants to kill Sasuke herself. Now, with the first 2 phases of this brilliant plan, I really hope that the rest of her plan to kill Sasuke is a lot better. I hope there are steps to come that are impressive, because so far she looks like an absolute fool. So no, she goes to fight Sasuke, okay? She goes to fight Sasuke, and Sasuke is crazy right now. So she's like, I think her plan was to try to get close to him, and she's like, oh, well, he's my ex-teammate, of course he'll be nice to me. So she's like, oh, I want to join your team. Sasuke sees right through her. So he's like, oh yeah, you want to join me? Okay, kill Karin. And Karin has been catching strays over here. And Sakura's like, oh, I don't want to do that. Because she had no plan. He knows that she's here to kill him, and she doesn't want to kill Karin to actually go through with her plan because... I don't know, she's stupid. Like, was she not ready to make any sacrifice to do this on her own? And I'm not saying I want Karin to die. I'm just wondering what she was assuming would happen. Did she think she would go to Sasuke and he'd be like, yeah, girl, come on. Like, so then of course Sasuke attacks her, and of course she has to be saved. So Kakashi arrives, and this is a much more interesting dynamic, and we forget that Sakura's there. Anyway, Sasuke and Kakashi are fighting, and then Sasuke is getting tired because he just attacked the 5 Kage Summit and then killed Danzo. So she appears on the ceiling like an unwanted bug, and she goes to kill Sasuke, and this is when we see her weapon of choice. A little kunai with a little bit of poison on it. Cool. So then she goes to stab Sasuke. And what does she do? She stops dead in her tracks and cries. Reminder, she drugged her team for this. She had no plan, no confidence. She was not ready to do anything. And yet she pretended like she was... all that just to like have her little poison kunai stop and cry. She put so many people in danger for this. So then Sasuke turns around and attacks her, obviously, and then... oh, sorry, wrong video. She has to get saved again, this time by Naruto. It's absolutely pathetic. She acted like this was her moment and that she was going to take care of the whole situation just to fail miserably. Not do a single thing. At this point in the story, she is nothing but a burden. Not only that, they take the time to add a line where Kakashi says, oh, your poison kunai wouldn't have done anything. Orochimaru has given him poison resistance. Okay, maybe mention that source Kakashi, but if Sasuke was resistant to poison, Sakura should have known this as a poison expert and as a student of Tsunade who knows Orochimaru very well. She is in a position where she should have known this instead of Kakashi. But this is not necessary to the plot. Sasuke does not need to be resistant to poison. They only added this to make her look more useless and stupid. Because I said earlier that her having medical ninjutsu while Naruto and Yamato has healing powers, so the people we care about in the team can heal themselves, is stupid and badly written. But you add to that the main antagonist is resistant to poison while her specialty is poison. Why would you do that? This has to be purposeful because this is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. You are not only making her uninteresting, but you're making her useless with this writing. Naruto could have lost his self-healing powers because he was trying to control the Nine Tails and with added seals that Jiraiya did. Also, they could have kept Sakura's resistant to Genjutsu that they established in the first show and then forgot about, because that's one of Sasuke's things is Genjutsu. She could have been better at resisting him than like Naruto and Kakashi, and that could have been an interesting fight opportunity, especially if she had a smart plan and like manipulated him or something. Just a thought, you established something, you could have followed up on it. There is no point in the plot where Sasuke needs to be resistant to poison. These are things that were added to make her useless. Not only that, but when Naruto saves her, Naruto gets hit with the poison, and he has time to do a Rasengan Chidori encounter. He has time to go in another time space because he has a gay little heart, and then he has time to walk towards Sasuke and continue having his romantic conversation, and then Sasuke has time to leave before the poison has any effect on Naruto. I thought she was a poison master. This poison was weak. Even if she would have poisoned Sasuke, she would have died. And then she actually admits that she has less resolve than Naruto. And you're like, yeah, you have no reason to care about Sasuke. You have people in the Leaf. Like, Naruto and Sasuke have a different thing going on. It's kind of what the show is about. So why are you here? Why are you trying to be a part of this plot? And why are you even a main character? She emotionally manipulated Naruto, then drugged her entire team, and then did nothing. What a terrible character. This entire sequence of events goes on the list because I am mind blown that it happened. Now, if I ever do a rewrite of Shippuden, I would end the show close to this. I'm not gonna get into this right now, but I'm not gonna spend too much time on the war because I don't care for it. And rewriting this thing would be a separate video. Luckily, we have other female characters to talk about because what was that? Anyway, continuing in this plot point, one of the next fights we see is with a female character that we haven't talked about yet, and that is the only girl in the Akatsuki for some reason. One girl. Listen, at first when I saw Konan and they presented her as like her power is paper, I was slightly disappointed that it sucked. I was like, well, that's a weak power to have and it kind of sucks and ooh. Okay, so they kind of redeemed themselves by being creative with her power, and I'm not mad at it anymore. Also, like, a lot of Naruto's lore comes from Japanese culture, and I think this is a creative way to include origami. So, yeah, I'm not mad. Her fight with Obito is very cool, and it's kind of the only moment we see her as a character, because usually she was just accompanying Nagato or Yahiko. Like, her allegiance was to the people she loved, and not the organization. I talk a bit about her role in a previous video where I was like, they represent the straight couple and having a non-disturbing peaceful revolution and how that doesn't work. But as a character herself, I failed to see much personality from her, but I appreciate how original her powers are. And I still don't feel like going back to Sakura, so we're gonna talk about our last red-headed diva. Because they can't write a bad character with red hair. Like, look at us. But to talk about Kushina, nothing makes me cry more in this show than every second she is on screen. Okay, I need to say that this was just completely unexpected for me. Because when Naruto met his dad in the pain fight, I thought this makes sense because the pain fight is the peak of his character outside of Sasuke. And he's realizing his goal, and that's what he learns, that his father was the Hokage and the person he looked up to, but also the person he hates. And it's just a wonderful scene. And there has been such a focus on the fourth Hokage since the first second of the show that I didn't assume they would ever focus on Naruto's mom. But when you meet Kushina, you get the full backstory. And you learn that Kushina was extremely important in this fight. And that the fourth and her worked together and that he got all the credit. And there's a huge lesson in Naruto about erasing history and not learning from it. And this is the moment where they tackle the erasure of women in history. And they give all the credit to their husbands. Kushina was extremely strong with an interesting background, a beautiful love story, and like an incredible personality that is good enough for the main character to have the same one and lead the show. Her design is gorgeous. She's just incredibly strong and smart. And giving her a couple of episodes so that we can learn about her and learn to love her and give her the credit that she deserves that the Leaf completely hid. The fourth gets so much credit. And this is when we realize that she deserved just as much. I just did not expect the show to go in this direction, and I was so pleasantly surprised when we got Kushina's backstory. It is one of the most beautiful moments in the show. Saying it makes me tear up is an understatement. Like, they deserved each other so much. And it kills me that they didn't get to experience a mother-son relationship. Oh my god. They're also showing us that they can make a nice love story in a very short amount of time. Again. So they are choosing not to. Interesting. For personal reasons, I'm gonna stop talking about that now. Anyway, so now that the war is starting, Sakura is working as a medic, which is fine. Because I hate the plot, it's hard to be critical of her because I'm critical of the plot. So there's a scene I want to talk about, and it has nothing to do with Sakura. But at the same time, it has everything to do with Sakura. Because at the point where Naruto has joined the battlefield and everything, there's an attack on the intelligence of the allied shinobi forces. And this attack kills Shikaku and Inoichi, Shikamaru and Ino's parents. And you may be wondering why I've talked about so many female characters and I haven't touched on Ino yet. And that's not because I wasn't planning on talking about her, it's because to me this moment is a moment I've been waiting from Sakura this entire show. When Inoichi dies, Ino has a last conversation with her father because he knows he's about to die, and he gives all the responsibility to her. And in this moment, she is the only person that could do this. She is the best suited person for this situation. All of the times she's spent on missions with Shikamaru, all of the times we have seen her with her father, learning from him, even though she's just on the side, it was all for this moment. And now she wipes her tears and she starts leading the allied shinobi forces with Shikamaru. It is so emotionally strong to see her step up from this kid we knew to this woman who is now leading the army. In the time she was absolutely needed, she stepped up without hesitation. Even though her father just died, she wiped her tears. It shows growth and it shows strength. And Sakura does not have a single moment that is as powerful as this moment from Ino, which is ridiculous because Ino is Sakura's side character. Naruto and Sasuke have countless emotional moments like this, and Sakura doesn't have a single one that comes close to Ino's. When we meet Ino in the first show, she's kind of just like a nice kid. She helps Sakura with her insecurity and she includes her so that she's not as alone, and Sakura seems to be the one that ruined the friendship. Like, sure, they have a fight about Sasuke, and I wish it was resolved earlier, like it would be fine in a slice of life anime, but this is not what we're watching. But genuinely, the moment in the Forest of Death where Sakura is getting beaten and Ino watches, that's the first time I cried watching this show. And that's why I was so upset last video talking about it, about how disappointing it is in the end. Because in the moment, watching these girls realize that they had wasted time not being friends, and that life in this world is so fragile, and that they were wasting it because of a boy, I found it really moving. And Team 10 has been shown to be quite cowardly. I mean, even when they were facing Neji's team, Ino just flirts with him to make him go away. She completely embraces her femininity, while Sakura can be a bit not like other girls-y, and it makes her a lot more fun to watch. So seeing her drag her cowardly team to protect Sakura was just like, at the end of the day, girls have to protect girls. She didn't want to watch her friend die. And then she helps her cut her hair. Like, I have no issues with Ino. If we're talking character design-wise, I find it really funny because you can see the conversation that happened. You know, when people, like when young girls want to wear crop tops and their parents are like, you have to wear something underneath, you're too young. Like, you see the natural evolution of her hiding her stomach and then not when she's grown. It makes complete sense. And because she is, like, for lack of a better term, a mental fighter, she doesn't need to move as much, and she's going to work in intelligence, so her outfit doesn't need to be as fit for fighting. Which is the other thing about Ino. She never really needed to pass the tuning exams. I mean, she's probably not going to be sent on missions. She's going to be in charge of spying, intelligence, information gathering, and we see that she's really good at that just with the written exam. And like, why does Ino have a more interesting jutsu than Sakura? Like, even in the Pain fight, she's with her father and she's working on trying to have access to the Pain's brains. Also, she's not always just walking around town. She works in a flower shop. That is so cute. She has a side hustle. And it gives her fun interactions when other characters walk into the shop. Immediately, it's a more interesting setting. Like when Asuma goes to buy flowers for Kurenai and Ino can tease him about it. She has so much personality, and I do kind of think she has an ED, especially in the first show, which would be really rough in the shinobi world because there are still obviously beauty standards. We see this Naruto and Jiraiya pushing them a lot, but at the same time you're supposed to be a fighter and you're supposed to be strong, but you're also supposed to be feminine and womanly. So like that must be rough on the brain. And obviously they don't explore the subject much, but you could see how it affects Ino. She has a few lines about dieting even though she's super skinny. We also get to see a lot of her when Asuma dies, and even though this arc is a lot more focused on Shikamaru, we do get a lot of Ino. And similarly to Karin, we see how useful she is. She finds out where the Akatsuki are. She even learned how to heal after seeing Sakura do it, because obviously if Sakura can do it, anyone can. So she's like, oh yeah, let me diversify my skill set so I can use my jutsu from my clan, I can physically fight, and I can heal. I also love that Kakashi gets to spend time with Team 10 because he deserves a team that is not constantly playing real life kiss, marry, kill with each other. So yeah, every time Ino's on screen, I'm happy. She's just a really interesting character. She's funny, she's useful, she has emotional depth. Now, Ino also, as a bonus, doesn't end up with Sasuke. Now, she does end up with Sai, but I'm not about to hate a girl for having a type. That is fine. Overall, I don't mind. I don't see the huge amount of chemistry, but I don't mind how she ends up. I think she deserved a little better, but oh well. Overall, I'll take Ino over Sakura any day. Now, if we go back to Sakura, I kind of want to skip to the Team 7 reunion, because I'm looking at this and I see a problem. Do you see a problem? Okay, so if we look at this image with the legendary Sannin, you can see that is Gamabunta, Manda, and Katsuyu. Clearly what Team 7 is doing is an homage to that because they are the 3 students of the legendary Sannin. And who do we see here? So we see Gamekichi, Aoda, and Katsuyu. So the problem is, Sakura didn't become her own character. Sakura is just becoming Tsunade. And every scene that Sakura is in, she could be replaced by Tsunade. They try to do a narrative of the student became stronger than the teacher, but then Sakura is struggling to heal Shikamaru. Tsunade arrives on the battlefield and heals him straight away. You keep telling me this thing of Sakura has grown stronger, and every time you have an opportunity to show it, you do the opposite. When you watch the summoning scene, you know that this has to be Sasuke and Naruto. They are the only people with these skills. The third member could be Tsunade without an issue. Sakura has no additional skill that Tsunade doesn't have, and in this scene she also develops the little diamond on her forehead, which is another thing that Tsunade already has. And it doesn't feel earned. I didn't even know she wanted this. We never saw her training for it. We barely see her work towards anything. She's always just standing around doing little food pills for Naruto. Sasuke and Naruto are here, and they are a combination of their heritage and their experiences. It's Orochimaru, and it's the Uchiha clan, and it's Itachi, and it's the Akatsuki, and it's Kakashi. Naruto is Jiraiya and Kakashi and his father and his mother and Kurama and the Toads. I look at Sakura and I only see them trying to recreate Tsunade. And I really like Tsunade, but that doesn't mean I want a second one. It means I want a character with as much depth. Later she even has another speech where she says she doesn't want to be left behind and look at the guys from behind and whatever. And what she does is run straight into a sword, which we've seen Tsunade do a few episodes ago. But Tsunade had a better speech and did it first, so it was good. And then you do it again and it's not as good. But as far as medical malpractice goes with Sakura, the moment that will go on the list is this one. Because I am CPR trained. And I can tell you that that's not how you do it. I think Tsunade skipped the basics. And that can happen when someone with a lot of expertise teaches something. They forget the first steps. So when Sakura heard heart compressions, her stupid brain didn't think to go through the ribs. Well, no, she did think to go through the ribs. She was like, oh, I have to do heart compressions? Or I guess I have to reach the heart. So she channels chakra in her hand, splits him open, moves the ribs around. Mind her, she can't wash her hands, she's on a battlefield. Shoves a few organs to the side, grabs Naruto's heart, and starts squishing. What? That's not what she meant. You were supposed to bump the chest, arms outstretched to the beat of staying alive. People say, oh, she kept him alive. No, she didn't. It was that dude, what's his name? Hagoromo? The Sage of Sixth Path, who brought him back to life. She didn't do anything. I think she killed him more. But that's not her only moment of bad medical ninjutsu, because when she is needed in a moment where she could do a great job taking Obito's eye out, she hesitates. And it looks like it's because she doesn't want to hurt him. When he's literally begging her to take his eye out and destroy it so Madara doesn't get stronger, she fails. You could have, if you wanted this to happen, you could have still have made her do everything in her power so that she would take that eye out. Instead, you make her hesitate and look weak. Why couldn't she have gone straight for it? Why couldn't she have proposed this idea and Obito being scared? There's a bunch of things you could do, and instead you just make her look weak. Again, taking an eye out should not be an issue for her. So yeah, no, this also goes on the list, but then there's this other moment where, okay, Guy sacrifices himself and opens the 8th gate, right? He's kaput, okay? Gone. Naruto comes back from his Sage of Sixth Path adventure, and he heals guy. Something that would have been impossible for Sakura to do. I feel like I just got slapped in the face. You give Naruto healing powers for himself. That's dumb, but okay. You give Sasuke poison resistance. Dumb. Really dumb. And not okay. You give Naruto the ability to heal others with a godlike ability? Dumb as shit. Guys, no. No. Oh my god. Like, why is she here? Why did you even try to write her in this story? Why isn't she in a genjutsu with the others at this point? It's like they wrote the first arc specifically so she would be useful, and then wrote her out of the story, but kept her in to do nothing and be humiliated by other characters. It's like at the end of the other video, I could do a rewrite where Sakura was more important in the story. Because if I rewrote the first show, the only thing I would really change is Sakura's character. I really like the first show. All the arcs are good. In Shippuden, a rewrite would be many elements. But I think the first few arcs are really good, and the issues are mostly during the war. So I can't really do a rewrite like the other show. But it's also because they shot themselves in the foot so hard by making Sakura uninteresting. You look at the Shinobi 12 and she is the only one without a skill. If they had taken my suggestion and she would be dating Lee, she could have learned taijutsu from Lee, so she would have healing and she would have Tsunade's strength and Lee's taijutsu skills, which would make her a bit more of a combination. She would also be the epitome of hard work because Naruto and Sasuke come from really strong backgrounds. Because the other thing that gets really frustrating is everyone saying how strong Sakura is. In the first arc, everybody would say how smart she is, and now everybody's saying how strong she is. There's a scene where Hashirama Senju says, "Ooh, she's really strong," because she punches some enemies really strong. I'm sorry, that's just not impressive in this world. Meanwhile, Sasuke and Naruto are combining their wind and fire jutsu to attack the big guy. And Sakura's like punching some smaller enemies, and Hashirama Senju is like, wow, she's so good. I'm sorry, no. Not to mention that characters like Choji straight up punched the Ten Tails. You didn't have to tell me he was strong when he did that, I could see. But you can't tell that Sakura is stronger than any other side character, so they have to mention it all the time. Sasuke is my favorite character in this show, and arguably of any other show, because he is a show don't tell character. I have to analyze him because he won't say it, and other characters don't understand him, and viewers don't understand him, and that makes him really interesting. Sakura is the opposite, a tell don't show character. Always telling us how strong she is and how smart she is, never giving her an opportunity to actually do something. If you think you can just do the first arc and give her something good to do there and then ignore her for the rest of the show, I literally have nothing good to say since that first arc. She's in so many scenes she doesn't have to be in. She has so much screen time and does nothing with it. Anyway, in the final fight with Kaguya, like, I get it. Am I supposed to talk about Kaguya? Because, like, I don't like it at all. I do like Kaguya, and I understand that, like, they like including folklore in Naruto, so they wanted to include Kaguya. I wish it was in another setting. She could have been the second female member of the Akatsuki. Ooh. Like the tale of Kaguya, not this character. But no, there is like a certain men are trash and are responsible for the trauma and pain in this world aspect to her story, which is pretty cool. I just hate the inclusion of her in this story, and I would just erase the entire thing. When it comes to Sakura jumping down to punch her, I don't mind that this is a Team 7 scene. They just build it up a lot as an SNS scene, like with Hagoromo and stuff like that, and then they include Sakura at the end as a girl boss moment. And it's another thing where it's like, okay, it just doesn't feel earned, you know? But Kakashi watching is very sweet. I'm happy for Kakashi. I don't know how I feel about it plot-wise. I also don't like that she says something about being a woman while doing it. It feels very... If we include a line about misogyny, we're not misogynistic. Anyway, with all that done, the one thing left in the story is Sasuke. And Sakura manages to admit during the 5 Kage Summit that she was only attracted to Sasuke because of his looks, and she never really thought about him. That she never really considered him as like a person and was only like attracted to him. Cool. So she's admitting that she's over him, right? That's what that meant? No, of course it doesn't. Of course it doesn't. Why would it mean that? Like, I don't mind Sasuke apologizing to her, obviously, because he's been mean. But, like, she should be sick of him. It's just a very different circumstance with Naruto. But with Sakura, girl, leave. Listen, I think the scene where Sakura heals them both, I'm mixed on it, but I do understand it with what they wanted to do with the show. It works fine, and I do like it. I would still change it if I rewrote the show, but anyway. The issue, of course, is later, when Sasuke is released. I'm not talking about that scene again, I've done that enough. But from Sakura's perspective, just blushing and she wants to be with him, I'm so confused what this character is about. What is this saying? Because even after the time skip, she gets a letter from Sasuke that is not for her, that is for Naruto, and she blushes at the thought of him. No, it's pathetic. It really is. He's been gone for years and she hasn't, like, if she wants romance, she could have had it in those 2 years. It's like she's just an obsessed freak. I'm getting a little mean, but I'm pissed off. Like, the whole list, the top thing is her being with Sasuke in the end. Although I am only talking about Naruto and Naruto Shippuden, so technically they don't get together. That is because Sasuke is not there. But her being in love with him at the end of the show, no, I'm like not even mad, I feel numb. It reached a point of numbness. Because yeah, after the time skip. Why is there a time skip? Wait, how does this show end already? Oh, I forgot to talk about Hinata this entire time. Okay, well, I guess we'll do a little speed run of this. Shouldn't be long, because spoiler alert, she doesn't do much. Should we start talking about her 2 fights real quick against Neji and against Pain? Because they're the same freaking fight. They only exist to make Naruto mad. She fights Naruto's 2 future opponents, and she gets wrecked by them so that Naruto is more upset. Hinata exists to get hurt so that Naruto gets angry. She exists to add emotional depth to Naruto. And I would argue it barely works. Nobody likes that terrible Neji and Naruto fight, and I think Jiraiya dying angers fans a lot more than what happens to Hinata. And like, the part that pisses me off is that she doesn't even like save Naruto from Pain. Like, she's trying, right? She's trying to remove the rods, but in the end she doesn't succeed, and what happens is that Naruto gets mad and unleashes the Nine Tails, and that's what saves him. Like, couldn't she have done something instead of just getting hurt? Why weren't the rods blocking the Nine Tails and Hinata manages to fight Pain long enough to remove them, and then Naruto gets to unleash the Nine Tails? So she would actually be useful. That's just her fights, but her entire character, that's not a person, that's a male fantasy. That's a, guys, imagine if there was a girl with massive boobs that like was looking at you and admired you from afar and was in love with you and is like the perfect wife. That's the most uninteresting. Like, she is just a stalker. That's what she is. She has the personality of the cheapest IKEA table you could buy. I can't even be mad at her for being a weird stalker because clearly she comes from a long line of incest. Let's not kid ourselves. You think big, strong clans wouldn't want to preserve the purity of their blood? Be real. And I love how Boruto confirmed this, by the way. Anyway, you want to talk about her outfits? I don't like them. I think they both look bad, and I'm glad we have another purple character so that purple gets good representation in this show. However, I do like her part 1 haircut. Mind you, not because it looks nice, but because it's giving Sasuke. And a lot of Hinata is giving Sasuke. No, because you're gonna give them the same haircut, the same type of powers, the same reserved personality, just for Naruto to say, I like people like you, because this show is gay as shit, because why else would Naruto's rival and love interest have so many parallels? Now, to be fair, she has a slightly more interesting backstory than Sakura, with her coming from a highborn clan and being physically weak, while her sibling is a lot stronger than her, and oh wait, this is just Sasuke's backstory! No, this show just wanted to make it very clear that Naruto's type was introverts with daddy issues, because the only difference is that Sasuke's dad died, and hers stay alive long enough to shun her. Their highborn dads hating them for being weak is the same story. Her character's just less developed, so the story doesn't feel as complete. Because there are interesting themes of harmful traditions. But those are explored way more with Neji than with Hinata. Neji, who uses the Hyuga powers better than Hinata. I said Sakura was the only person in the Shinobi 12 to not have like her unique powers, but Hinata has the same as Neji but worse. They're the only two exceptions. It's always those two, and I don't know why. And it's like the whole love story with Naruto. Naruto likes her because she makes him think of Sasuke. And like at the end of the first show, Jiraiya is like, you have to give up on Sasuke. It would be foolish to focus on that instead of your dreams. And you know what Naruto says? Then I'll be a fool my whole life. And that's easy to say when your dreams feel so far ahead. But suddenly when he's the hero of the village and they're talking about making him a Jonin and Kakashi's now the Hokage, suddenly being the Hokage seems very near. And he realizes that he would have to give up on his dream for Sasuke. So do you know what he does? He goes for the next best thing. The character who's been compared to Sasuke this entire time. Because Sasuke's too queer and too evil, while mind you, Sasuke basically sacrificed the rest of his life to save people from Danzo. Everybody would be worse off if it wasn't for Sasuke, okay? I said it. So the show ends with their wedding because that is Naruto's final decision. Sasuke loses, and in the long run, Naruto loses because this decision made him unhappy. Canonically. And I will say, during her wedding, she looks beautiful. No one outshined the bride. Naruto... Okay, here's my take on this. Hinata heard that fake rumor that Sasuke liked long hair and said, I'm not taking chances, buzz it off. Which was a terrible move. He looks awful. I do like to think she knows. Like, she's not that dumb. She sees it. So, if you ask me who I dislike most between Sakura and Hinata, I think Sakura has stronger moments. I think Hinata is a flop throughout. And like the first time I saw the pain fight, I kind of liked it, similarly to the first time I saw Sakura cutting her hair because I thought it was going somewhere. When you rewatch those scenes, they are just disappointing. However, I do forgive Hinata a bit more because she's such a side character and she has little screen time. And I do think Naruto choosing her makes the show more gay. So I'm not... because she's basically Sasuke. So it's like, I understand the purpose of this character. I just hate the male fantasy aspect that has worked on so many fans. I hate how many male fans idolize this character. This isn't a person. This is a fantasy for people who don't like women. Because fine, if you want my opinion on this, I think the best female character in the show is Tsunade. My personal top 3 would be Temari, Anko, and Karui. There are many that almost make the list, okay? But those are my top 3. Anyway, now that we're concluding my Naruto duology, I want to go back to the scene where Team 7 is talking about their dreams. Because in the end, they all accomplish their dreams. Sasuke wants to kill Itachi and continue his clan. Sakura wants to be with Sasuke, and Naruto wants to be the Hokage. Now, if I could change this myself, and if you want Naruto to end up being the Hokage, you could have that, but then it makes Naruto unhappy because he wanted to be liked. He'd never wanted to be the Hokage. And then Sasuke kills Itachi, so he accomplishes one dream, except that dream destroys him. So he decides to die as the last Uchiha because he realizes that being an Uchiha is a curse. It always leads to trauma, so he decides to live out his days as the last Uchiha. Sakura decides to change her dream completely because the dreams she had when she was 12 were immature. So instead of having the 3 of them accomplish what they wanted to do when they were 12, some change, some stay the same, and some adapt. I honestly think it's just a better way to view dreams and how you grow up. You could also make the argument that if the show was well written, Sakura should have ended up being the Hokage. That would be the actual lesson of hard work over talent. But you would have to change a lot. I mean, Sasuke's the one that said it. Naruto was too obsessed with him to become the Hokage. Ugh. Anyway, I think this show is kind of like its main characters. It's hiding its true identity. When you meet Sasuke, you think he's this arrogant, selfish shinobi who will do anything for himself, and then you see that he's not. When you meet Naruto, you think he's really happy and that he's confident, but he's not. And when you meet Sakura, you think she's feminine and she's calm, but she's not. And when you start watching this show, you think it's a show about strength and ninjas, but it's not. I would even go as far as to say that a show about ninjas are known to be discreet and silent, and having your main character being dressed in orange and his main characteristic is being loud is proof that this show is not about what it's pretending to be about. This show is full of red herrings and you have to look past a lot of stuff to realize the story it's telling, which I think I've been pretty clear what I think this story is about. And am I okay with making a terrible female character to serve a queer story? I'm still not sure. I feel like there were other ways of doing this, like having Sakura get over Sasuke pretty quickly. They gave Sasuke and Sakura no chemistry. Sasuke was violent to Sakura many times, and they simply have nothing in common. This is either the worst love story ever written, or an attempt at avoiding shipping to write a queer character. And I don't think they would accidentally badly write Sakura because they prove constantly that they can write compelling and good female characters. So yeah, Hinata and Sakura are badly written, and it does serve my analysis. I think Naruto is a really great show if you can look through the cracks and read between the lines. And I also think it could be a really great show if it was shorter. But yeah, these 3 videos are basically my thoughts on Naruto, or like the baseline to understand my feelings towards Naruto, because I can't have a conversation about Naruto with regular people, I have noticed, because we think the show is about completely different things. I have a lot more of opinions and I can elaborate on basically everything I say in these 3 videos, but I'm glad I managed to put this out there. When I made the first 2 parts of this series, I had 0 subscribers. I didn't know if anybody was going to watch them, but I currently have 29 subscribers for the 3rd one. Thank you so much. Every time someone interacts with my content, I literally kick my feet and giggle. I even was in contact with my very first subscriber who makes fan art on their pages, and you should go follow them. And they drew me a profile picture, and I used their art in this video, so it's been awesome to talk with the community. Thank you so much to everyone who is here. It means the world to me that people are interested in what I say. I'm starting school again now, so I can't promise a big video essay soon. I think I will have to do some for school, so those might get posted, but I'm not sure. And maybe some casual content, but I am continuing to learn so that I can make better video essays in the future. So thank you so much for watching. Bye!